Hey everybody, this is Professor Lilly, and I want to talk to you about this week's activity, the video activity. And we're going to do it basically just like we organized the week last week with Audio Week. And so I'm making this video now. I'm gonna send it out to you pretty quickly, and then I'm going to make a second video that's going. You can see they're already uh, tuned up here, queued up, and so I'm going to hopefully send you that later today or Wednesday. And that second video is going to show you what students did for this video assignment last year, and I'll give you some, talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of those samples, just like I did last week for video week. So, and the flow is going to be the same as well. I was thinking we could do critiques. The last time we did critiques, we had some students who were just having problems getting in there, and for these 1 week assignments that are really mostly all about you learning the basics of how to get video into an application, edit it, and some of the common concepts of splitting and multi-track recording, and basics of editing, and then getting it out into a publication venue, such as putting it on WordPress or putting a video on YouTube. That kind of thing. I don't think it quite needs to be critiqued. Some students get a little are embarrassed by it, and it's basically again about getting these basics down. And so the content, although important for grading and having good quality, is not quite as important enough to be able to critique. We will be doing one more critique this semester, and that will be when you do the final work on your WordPress websites. You'll have your we'll do critiques for the final versions of your WordPress website. So it's not really necessary this week, so we'll do the same thing where I'm sending out this overview video, and then I will send out a kind of a professor critiques of what students have done in the past, and that will be enough for you to do a pretty good job on this week's activity. So let me just go over a few things. So the format of what you need to do for your video is also very similar to your audio activity. So we're looking for one video with 2 interviews in it, focusing on a topic. And as you, as the producer and videographer, are also focusing on just having a good quality product. Quality in 2 ways, in terms of the quality of the audio and video in your product, and then also quality in terms of just relatively simple storytelling or narrative. So just does it make sense if I randomly was searching on YouTube and found your video from the beginning to the ending? Do I kind of understand what's going on, what the topic is? Is there fairly even flow? And is the editing good enough so that it's not jarring and taking me kind of out of the narrative as the viewer? So again, you need to come up with a topic. These topics this time of year could easily be interviewing 2 people and talking about, what are your plans for Thanksgiving and have they changed? Considering that we're in the pandemic right now, or you could folks ask, what are your traditions for Thanksgiving for your family, and or some of the other topics we talked about for the audio activity. We're looking at having at least 90 seconds and a max of 3 minutes. So I would aim in the middle there for around 2 minutes. I mean, sometimes with these type of topics, honestly, 3 minutes can after 3 minutes would kind of seem kind of boring. It kind of depends on your editing, if you want to throw extra things in there to make it more exciting. So again, I would shoot at around 2 minutes, and when you're including your beginning and ending and transitions, usually that would mean about 45 seconds of each interviewee or interview. I do want to have some music in there. If if you're in a location that has good um, background noise that kind of is helping the narrative, then you can highlight that or add jingles. But put some music in to help with the beginning and transitions and the ending, and then bring it down low during the interviews. Um, Again, this is multi-track recording, or in editing, so you can have a separate um, audio line or track that's separate from your video tracks, and that's the way you control those volumes separately on each track. So you can have the volume go up and down of the music behind in the background. And I'm not necessarily requiring you to do if we have a narrator's voice, we call that a voiceover. That's the technical term. So you can do a voiceover at the beginning if you don't want to have your face. I've had some instances where students did it kind of journalism style, where they sit down next to the person they're interviewing and asking them questions. So there's lots of different ways you can do it, but it has to be clear what the topic is. And so, a voiceover, your own voice as the voiceover is one way to do that. And then one thing that's different with videos is we can have what we call lower thirds, or another that's what we call it kind of in videography terms, but another word for that is like a text caption. So I would like it to have a title at the very beginning, and then use text captions for things like maybe showing someone's name or labeling a place that you might be showing in the video. And just think about the different ways that text captions can be used to feed information to the viewer and to move the narrative along. So think, don't just like randomly throw text in there. Think about how you can use the option in Adobe or Rush, so that you can add text to it and make it useful. So here's the tutorials. I'm not going to get back into these. This one is the same for Rush that was on lynda.com. So now you're moving. Remember, I asked you for the audio week to focus on the audio chapter, and then for this you can move on to the other ones in terms of transitions and videos and video editing. This is a Adobe tutorial. So it's rather than a video on YouTube or lynda.com. It just goes and shows you lots of different projects here of how to get started. And so like this is just a tour of the interface. And again, now that you've already done it, you're getting into the video section. So granted that Rush is designed more so for basic video editing than audio. So you're getting into more of the features that you might have already seen, and just kind of taking it to the next level, because this time you actually are using video. So again, this one wasn't there last week because it was focused on audio last week. What else? So adding voiceovers is another thing you can do in Rush, and so I just
out of all three meals, which one do you want to eat
on just how to do that. So how to add your voice without actually having yourself as a video on your video, one of your video tracks. And this does get into some of the skills you already learned in just recording voice, but you're just adding it as another track, because you will also have a video track in Rush. And then just two more here. So this one is good.
Smartphone cameras have become so ubiquitous and high quality that they're being used more and more for high-end projects. With the ability to shoot 4K, RAW, or even slow-motion footage all in a pocket for your arms on a fixed structure, like a tape, focus, and exposure. So use this feature to properly expose.
Please watch this, because most of us, all of us, are used to taking video on our smartphones, but those are for our own personal use. And if you kind of critique them from a more, okay, we're going to make this published, because all of your videos for this assignment have to be put on YouTube first. So they're going to be either public or quasi-public. There's ways to make it so that only certain kind of people or you know, just your website is showing it. But essentially, these are public. So I mean, you want to have a higher quality than typically you would for just a video that later on you're going to throw in the cloud or show your grandma or show your friend or something like that. So granted, this is a short, I mean, it's only 3 minutes long, but it gives you some really good, just basic tips, things to think about. Because the first thing after you decide on your topic is you're going to go ahead and use your phone to go out and just shoot the raw footage. So if you're going to go talk about a hike that's near your house, then you're going to go and take some clips of the hike to put together in the Rushdoll application. And even if you just sit down and record people on your laptop, for example, like interview or journalism style, then still you're going to want to really focus on how am I going to get decent quality video and what does that mean. And then lastly here, I have these video editing terms similar to the reading. And these are just things to think about. Like aspect ratio is important. I mean, most of your phones will be taking aspect ratio similar to this one here, 1.66 to 1 or 1.85 to 1. And this is just good to think about in terms of what it's going to look like on YouTube. Sometimes certain publication venues are going to try to change the aspect ratio. And one thing to also think about is what it's going to look like if you have a video where you're shooting it the video landscape style, and then you take a different clip and you shoot it portrait style. So all of a sudden the aspect ratio in the middle of your video, if you have more than one clip, is going to switch, which is kind of awkward for the viewers. And I think I have an example of that I'll show when I talk about what students have done in the past. B-roll is just the idea that you're going out and taking kind of extra footage while you're talking about the narrative. So if you're interviewing people in a park, you take the video of the people themselves talking, but then you might take some extra, again, what we call B-roll, of just some footage of other things going on to kind of move the narrative along, and so that you're not just focusing on those people's faces. But anyway, so focus on these. These are just good to know about and think about. Some of them are not going to be, you're not going to be actively thinking about these terms while you're editing in Adobe Rush, but then they will be on the final exam. And that's it for the tutorials and the readings. Remember that this week, at the end of the week, you are going to be turning in your tutorial journal for audio and video week. Okay, so if you haven't written down a paragraph or two about how you use the tutorials and readings up here in audio week, then go ahead and jot those down, and then at the end of this week, when you're done with the readings and tutorials for this week, then write down your experiences using them this week. And then this week, you will actually turn something in on Moodle, and that'll happen right here. You're going to turn in a Word document, so just create a new Word document, and in the Word document, put a link to the page on your website that has your audio and video, and then also your tutorial journal for the last 2 weeks. You don't have to worry about the tutorial journals from the previous WordPress assignment or the graphics assignments, just for the audio week and the video week. And then by Sunday, after you have embedded your YouTube video on a page on your WordPress website, then go ahead and submit that right here by this coming Sunday. And that's it for just giving you an overview of this week. Again, there's not going to be any live Zoom meetings. If you have some problems or issues, all you need to do is email me. And just a preview, so next week we are kind of have a half week, and we're going to be getting into what we call the Adobe Spark assignment. Adobe Spark is a kind of different way to do an audiovisual narrative in the form of a one-page website that's really designed, it's not nearly as complex as WordPress, but it's really designed to tell a story in a kind of a one-page Word or one-page website type format with lots of photos and videos. And I'm going to ask you to focus on Thanksgiving as a topic, but you don't have to. But anyway, I'm going to send out a video at the beginning of the week. And this week, kind of similar to the SparkPage assignment, similar to what we've done with audio and video, is basically going to be asynchronous. There's not going to be any live Zoom meeting that week, but you just have to be on top of this assignment so that when you're during Thanksgiving break, you can get the photos and videos on whatever topic and then start creating the Spark page. But you don't have to worry about that now, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. And then when we come back from break, then we'll be focusing on the final assignment, which is to focus on adding more content to your WordPress websites. All right, so again, if you have any questions, just email me. Definitely spend some time on this tab, the Video Week tab, and check out these tutorials and readings and the guidelines series. One other thing I have put in here, let's see where. So this is a rubric that we, the other professor and I, Dr. Biswas, who created the whole course, Digital Tools, a few years ago. We put this in there. I decided to keep it just because it gives you, and the descriptions are basically the same. And it's saying here, okay, the broad theme is my college campus, and because we're not on campus, I'm giving you leeway to come up with your own topic. So don't get caught up with that. But it's basically the same thing as I have previous, but it gives a rubric. Now the rubric I'm going to use for grading is a little bit more simplistic. It has like 5 or 6 tabs instead of 10. But this is, I kept this up there just because it kind of gives you something to think about. Is my video of high quality? Like what am I looking for? So things about, are you appropriately using your background music or sound, and what's the quality of the in-camera interviews and things like that. So I just kept that in there because it's just kind of useful to run through it for you to kind of critique yourself, your own video when you're done with it. So that's it for now. Stay tuned for my second video where I'm going to go over these examples up here of what students have turned in the past. And you're definitely going to want to watch this just to kind of get a sense of the strengths and weaknesses and what other students, just to see what other students have done for this assignment. So have a great week, and if you have any questions, just email me. The grading is all done for the graphics module, so we're all caught up, except for I need to go through and just check. I mean, we already did the WordPress website critiques, and everyone did a pretty good job, but I need to just go through and check off the boxes for that grade as well.